And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. And I just want to welcome my good friend James Keating here with me. We're going to be interviewing him. It's a pleasure to be able to have him back on the show. It's been at least 3 or 4 years since I've actually got a chance to sit down with James just to catch up with him. And we've been meaning to do this interview for a while now, and now is the time. So sit back, relax, and let's go on ahead. Let's do this. And hey, James, welcome back to the show, man. It's been a while.
Hey, John. Yeah, it has been a while. How you
I,
been?
I've been doing really good. How about you? I know that you're staying busy.
Doing good. Doing good. Burning the roads up, traveling, flying.
I hear
Not
you.
home much.
But man, I just want to say a big congratulations for you getting that role on Landman because I know that's the hardest thing to do, especially when other people are trying out for different roles and stuff. And I have a question. How were you approached with this, or how did you find how did you manage to find your way onto Landman?
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I keep my eye on all the casting websites. I'm on Actors Access, Casting Network. Uh, I think that one was Legacy Casting, and I saw they do a lot of the Taylor Sheridan shows, and I saw Landman, and I said, let me look up. I knew it was a Taylor Sheridan show, and I looked it up on IMDb, and and I was like, holy crap, man, this has got some stars. Some of my favorites. And I said, and they had the casting for some oil CEOs in a scene. And I said, I'm going to put in for it, man. I can make the trip out that way, and, it's kind of like rolling the dice, never know. And so, yeah, I got booked on it and I went out there and it was pretty awesome, man. I got to, like, I got seated, I probably had to change my wardrobe maybe a couple of times. They told me to bring my own suits because I told them, initially they wanted me to come out like a few days before for wardrobe. And then you film 2 or 3 days later. And I was like, well, I'm coming from out of state. Can I just bring, and she said, yeah, send like 7 suits you got. And I sent her a picture. She said, just bring those and then we'll wardrobe you that day. And so they did. And, I got wardrobe. I got seated, on set at the table, and I kind of zoned out there for a little bit, and I was kind of like, "Pinch me, is this even real?" And I was sitting there trying to think who's the star that's going to be in this scene, And I saw the stand-in guy, younger guy in his 20s, and he had a T-shirt on, and I was like, he kind of looks a little bit like John Hamm, like a young John Hamm. I was like, holy crap, it's going to be John Hamm, And I'm a huge Mad Men fan, so I kind of, like I say, we were kind of waiting and sitting in my spot, and I look up and boom, there's Don Draper right across from me. And I was like, man, holy crap, this is awesome. But yeah, it was a surreal experience. Taylor Sheridan was there. Uh, they kind of started behind us with the camera and worked their way all the way around throughout the day. We were probably there from like 11 to about 2, and
Wow.
but yeah, it was pretty awesome. It was a big skyscraper in Dallas, and it was pretty surreal, man.
I was actually picturing you as like an oil field worker or something like that. I was just CEO and everything sounds really interesting and definitely different than what I would see you normally do.
Yeah,
Because I know
what's funny is
right.
I'm in corporate America in my day job, so people that know me through work, it's not that far fetched to see me in that kind of role. But yeah, but I can also do the hillbilly country backwoods
Right,
roughneck
exactly.
type because I definitely have the dialect to do either one. So, but yeah, it's I would love a roughneck to rags to riches roughneck type backstory. That would be awesome if I could ever go back. So.
But yeah, I mean, just to know that you get to work with these people with Taylor, just the fact that you get to work with them.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, like we were talking before, you never know if they're going to call you back again because
Yeah.
it happened with some of the stars from The Sopranos and stuff like that. Like the guy who played Vito, for example, he was in the very first season of The Sopranos. He was the guy who was at the deli shop with
Yeah.
Chris, and he gets a call from David Chase. Hey, look, we need you to
Yeah.
play Vito.
Yeah.
So you just never know where this road will take you.
Yeah. I mean, look at Carmine. He's one of the guys at the table in Goodfellas. When he says, tell me how am I funny,
Right.
and when you're watching, I said, "Holy crap, that's Carmine from Sopranos." All them guys. The other guy, Paulie, he's got a small part there in the beginning of Goodfellas, out by the car. So you just never know. So that was my whole goal. Is I just wanted, like I said earlier, I wanted to do Yellowstone. That was a big passion of mine to get on Yellowstone, and I still would love to get in that universe if it's still going to be, whether it be 1923 or a spinoff, a prequel, or any of the prequels. But yeah, that was my goal. Was I really wanted to work with Taylor Sheridan, and I accomplished that. So that was pretty huge for me. I was pretty proud of it. So even though in a small bit part, at least I was on set with those guys, and I got in front of them. So
Exactly, because that's actually a hard thing to do, like, not to do speaking roles and stuff like that.
hmm
We talk in everyday society anyways and stuff. So
yeah,
be kind of challenging of not trying to make any noise or anything while
yeah,
the cast is actually talking,
yeah.
dude, to be a background actor, which is even
hmm
harder to me.
Yeah, well, in continuity too is you don't you want to, like, we were supposed to be eating, so we had to keep like eating the same amount, have the same on our plate, and you don't want to not eat. Who's going to be at the table not eating at a breakfast meeting? So somebody's going to be eating something, so you need to eat or drink a little bit. But eventually, when you do so many takes, you got to replenish all that, and you got to say, "Oh, wait a minute, was my orange juice sitting here? Did I set it down right there? Okay, I took a sip." Little things like that you got to keep up with for continuity, because it might slip up, and you might occasionally you'll notice that stuff in movies and TV shows.
Right, exactly. Now, my question is this: I know that you did some crime shows and stuff like that. My thing is this: what kind of genre do you like? Are you just like, just put me in anything and I'll do it, or you're like, or is there a specific genre that you really love to do?
Of course, I love westerns. Westerns is my top. I love mafia. I'm a big fan of uh, Black Mass with Johnny Depp
Mhm.
when he played Whitey Bulger, a character like that. Of course, with my
Those are really good
dialect,
movies.
I fit right in the country western genre. So detective, sheriff, things like that. Outlaw. That's the type of stuff that really is right up my alley. Uh, but yeah, I could be a doctor. I've done some doctor work. Attorney, I could do an attorney. Uh, but yeah, that's pretty much my wheelhouse, is those type roles. But I've been cast a lot as a detective, arson investigator, some kind of law enforcement uh, detective type role, or sheriff. That's usually what I've been playing. I hadn't got to play an outlaw yet, but that would
Only
that'd
a
be
matter of
fun.
time, though.
Be the bad guy one time. Yeah.
Exactly. But the thing that I could see you in is probably like a Redemption type of movie. Maybe a live action version of that,
Yeah, that's what I would.
because
Yeah, I
I
would
can
love
definitely
that.
see you in that.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Um,
good at throwing an axe and twirling a gun, so I don't know if those skills are other than for Arthur Morgan, but
it
but
can
yeah,
be.
yeah. I be honest, I've never played the game, but I've watched all the videos. My son plays it a lot, and so I went and started watching the video, because I kept people saying, like, "You're like a real life Arthur Morgan," and I'm like, "Who's Arthur Morgan?" and, and so I started watching the videos on YouTube and stuff, and I was like, well, yeah, I could possibly play him in a role, and I can flip an axe, and I'm pretty accurate at throwing one. So if they ever need someone to play a realistic character, I'd love to get a reading for it. That's for sure.
Right. And the one thing I can say about your acting abilities is the fact that you have range, especially
Mhm.
from what I've seen. Whenever we did the history that haunts us and stuff like that, I could see the range that you have.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And you're very welcome, because you can do serious and you can also do comedy as well. Like,
Yeah,
that was one of the things that I could see, even though that's kind of like a horror movie, but at the same time, though, you're joking around a little bit. I can definitely tell that you're having fun. And
yeah,
that's one of the main things I love about how you act. I can tell that passion and that fire in you
yeah.
because of what you bring to the characters that you play.
Well, I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
I like.
And
I'm always a fan of Vince Vaughn comedy too. I always try to. I could. I'm not had an opportunity to do much anything like that, but I would love an opportunity. To do his type comedy. He's. Wedding Crashers and the Breakup. He had a lot of funny scenes in those movies. But I feel like confident I could possibly pull up some Vince Vaughn type comedy stuff. So
I would like to see that. I would like to see maybe like Yellowstone meets LA kind of flavor to it, where it's
Mhm.
like a little bit of a comedy kind of setting, like a
Yeah,
someone out of fish out of water kind of
yeah.
movie or something.
Well, you don't remember Matt Houston, do you? The
No.
show that's kind of he Matt Houston was Lee Horsley, and it was in the '80s, and he was the like son of an oil tycoon, and he wanted to be a detective, so he went out to L.A. to Hollywood to be a detective. So that's what made me think of that when you said fish out of
That's
water.
pretty. Wow, I didn't know. Now I need to go ahead and do my homework on that.
I know
Okay,
you can't hardly. I'd love to pull it up and watch it again, because I watched it as a kid in reruns. It only had 2 or 3 seasons, but it was pretty awesome. It was kind of like a Texas tycoon James Bond type role where he's going after the bad guys as a detective, and there's a lot of action went on with it. It's pretty neat. But yeah, you need to check it out when you ever find out where it plays at or
okay.
where it streams at.
My other thing too is like, how did you stumble into acting and stuff too?
Okay, well, I my senior year I was had to do the senior play, and of course when I was 12 years old, I grew up on a farm, and we only had like 3 channels up until I was like 12 years old. And because we had no cable, you can't get cable out in the country. So we got a satellite, and my mother said, "Oh, we're gonna have 500 channels." And I was like, "No, we won't." I don't believe that. I've been watching VHS tapes, and I watched a lot of movies over and over again, so I was already a movie fan. And so then we got satellite, and I was like, "No, I just all these movies. I had all this access to watching all these movies." Well, then fast forward to my senior year of high school, we had our senior play, and my drama teacher, she was from California, and she was teaching our play, and she said, "What are you doing after you graduate?" And I said, "Well, I was planning on taking over the family farm, and I'll probably go to community college and take my basics and kind of figure it out." She said, "Well, if you don't know what you want to do when you get over there, why don't you take theater?" And I said, "Okay." And so when I got over there, I enrolled in theater, and I took my basic curriculum, and I did theater for about, I think, 3 semesters, maybe 4, I can't remember. And I did a few plays, and I was working part time for a company, and actually I got promoted when I was like 21 to full time, and I had to move to Tennessee. And I said, "Well, I'll pick back up on the acting." And I was also a competitive power lifter. I competed nationally in
Oh
powerlifting, so I
wow.
was pretty swole back then. I was pretty muscle bound. I was about 220, 225, pretty lean, solid muscle. And I said, "Well, I'll I'll go to Tennessee. I'll not be too far from Nashville. Let me revisit it, and let me focus on my career right now." And when I got up there, it was like I was really like an hour and 45 minutes to Nashville, and it really, it was kind of far, and I didn't know back then it was different. It's not like it was now, with the access with the cell phones and everything, and you can record auditions with your phone. It wasn't like that then. And so I just kind of put it on the back burner. And then when I got back to Alabama with my day job, I got to transfer back home. They started making movies in Alabama, and I actually saw a casting for a football movie. And I said, man, back then I was about 240, heavier than I am now, muscle bound. Uh, and I said, well, I can go on the sideline. And that was back in the days I was watching Mad Men and thinking, man, I'd love to be on something like that. And anyway, I saw the casting for it. So I emailed the casting company, Goldman Casting, and I said, hey, I'd love to be in, play a coach or something on the sideline in one of these scenes. And they said, we've already, it was Woodlawn is what it was. They said, we've
Mhm.
already wrapped on it, but send us an email on our next casting, and we'll see if we can't get you in something. So I waited, it was about a month or two went by, and then they made a movie in Birmingham with Elizabeth Reeser and what's his name? It was a UFC fighting movie. And anyway, they
Not
needed somebody to
Warrior.
play background for a
Was it Warrior or was it there was also another one that I really liked was Never Back Down.
Stephen. Is it Stephen Dorff? Stephen
Okay.
Dorff. Is that
Yeah,
his
Steven
name?
Door.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
and he was a UFC fighter, and anyway, him and his son were estranged or whatever. But his son was a UFC fighter. He was 18. He ended up fighting him, and so um, anyway, I got a background part in it, and I just had to walk behind Elizabeth Reeser in my business traveling clothes, and so that kind of got my foot in the door. And I did a few of them. I did Devil All the Time. Uh, I think with a Hell on the Border, the Western. I got to play a cowboy in that. I got to run up in the house with a gun. for being one of Frank Grillo's goons or whatever. And I also got the scene with Ron Perlman where he's drunk in the saloon dancing around and I'm smoking a pipe. And that's how I kind of got started. And then I said, you know what? I went over, I did Ozark in Atlanta, and I got to work with
Wow.
Jason Bateman that day. I played a doctor in the scene when Ruth goes to the hospital
Yeah, I
and
know
she's
the
in the
scene.
bed. If you look to the left of Bateman, I'm the doctor behind Bateman. And but anyway, so I got to work with Laura Linney and Jason Bateman that day, and Ruth. What's Ruth's name?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but anyway, that's who was in the scene. And so I got back. I said, you know, I know by that time I'd already lost weight. I decided I was going to drop some weight. So I dropped about 50 pounds after Hell on the Border, and I really started watching my diet. I started fasting. I started running again, and I dropped 50 pounds. I got off blood pressure medicine, got my health, so I was having some heart issues. And all that went away, man. My cholesterol problems went away. My high blood pressure went away. Once I got rid of the weight, I started doing the fasting. And so then I started getting cast. And then I got back in the acting out academy, started taking classes. And I had submitted for a student film in Birmingham Southern, and I got cast. And I was just trying to play like a detective for like 4 lines, just to kind of get a reel started. And they called me back, and they called me in. They said, we've been trying to get a hold of you for 2 months. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that, because I didn't have an agent. And I was like, they said, will you come in and read? And I said, yeah. So I went in and read for them, and they handed me the lines. I said, this is not the detective. I don't know these lines. And they said, no, this is the lead protagonist.
Oh
And I
shit.
was like, holy crap, man. I didn't know I was reading for that. And so I read for it, and then they called me back that night and offered it to me. So I spent like the next 2 months knocking that out. And
It's pretty
so
amazing.
yeah, and but that director, he actually had worked on Gangs of New York. When I went to his office, he had like pictures of him and Leo DiCaprio, Al Pacino. He was the film professor there at the college. So that was like my first big role where I had to really buckle down and had a lot of dialogue, and we would shoot it on weekends. So it took 2 months to do it. And then, of course, COVID, COVID happened. No, I take that back. Before all that happened, I got the role in Lansky. The Goldmans called me and they said, hey, I had first put in to play a goon, just a background goon for Lansky. And Ron called me and says, we're bumping you up, man, to feature. And I was like, oh, what does that mean? He said, that means you're going to be a character in the film. I said, holy crap. And so I got there and I got down there and of course it was in Mobile, and I got to my trailer or whatever. And I go to the makeup. At the time, I didn't have my beard filled out. I kind of had it
Mhm.
shaped, and I didn't have as much on my cheeks. And so Ron said, just start growing your beard out now because we want you to look like another guy. You're going to play the younger version of it. And so I did. It took about a week, but they still had to fill it in because a week wasn't enough. It'd probably taken about 2 or 3 weeks. Well, I got in the makeup trailer, and lo and behold, guess who's sitting beside me?
Who's that?
John Magaro.
Oh my god.
John Magaro's in there, and I saw the picture of Harvey Keitel behind me. He wasn't there. I think he'd already wrapped on everything he had done, but I saw where they had a photo up of him, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. Anyway, they filled my beard in, and then Eaton Rockaway, he come over after they did my makeup and everything. He come talk to me. He kind of gave me a heads up on what my character was in the scene. I'm like, man, this is a pivotal character. I mean, I don't know if you've seen Lansky, but I was like, I was very grateful to get that. And so he told me about that. And of course, I had to keep that under my hat till the movie come out. But of course, right after we filmed it, man, the world shut down. COVID hit. I swear within days after we filmed that. I filmed one scene in the morning, one scene at night for the nighttime warehouse scene. And the one out by the bay was in the morning. And but yeah, then the whole world shut down, and I pretty much sat at home for months, and couldn't do any acting, and most people's day jobs shut down for a month to 3 months, didn't get out. And that I got in. I went. Joey was doing his Christian movie, the Burning, and he wanted me to play the sheriff, so I got in there and I played the sheriff with him, and then I got it with Creighton that summer, and
Right.
I got his film, and then right after we did that, then that's when I started doing the crime shows. I did American Detective and Sins of the City, and periodically over a few months spread out.
Okay.
Yeah.
My other thing too is, do you like doing theater, or is it something that you might put on the back burner, or is film basically your go-to when it comes down to acting?
I love film, but I kind of miss theater too. Just because what you're, if you have a play, you know what the story's about. Sometimes you don't know. I don't when I show up, I don't know what it is. I've got a
Right,
vague description of what this character. I don't know what the script is. I'm coming in to play something for one day. I get a vague description. Whereas at least in plays, like Death of a Salesman or Mice and Men. You know what that's about. And you
right,
can
and not only that, but even if you try out for a character, at least you know what character you're trying out for.
yeah,
'Ca-
yeah, exactly. You can
versus
put your
it being
spin on it. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. But yeah, no, I like either one. When you get in the theater, you get into having to scream a lot, and that doesn't transfer over always with film. When you get into acting, when you have to yell, you
Right,
get
because
to,
you have to actually project your voice.
yeah,
And that's the
yeah,
difference. Even in the movie Fences, for example, or with Denzel Washington, he actually played in the play and he also did the movie too. And I
yeah,
was like, and I said, there's a difference between theater because you have to actually have to project your voice out
hmm,
to the audience so the way they can hear you.
yeah,
With film, you have to basically lower your voice down a little bit to the point where the camera can hear you,
yeah.
and basically let the camera be the character that you're playing in a
And
sense.
know your mark and your eye lines too. That's a
Yeah,
big part of it. So yeah, I like theater, but if I had the choice, I prefer film over theater. But but yeah, sometimes I miss it. Yeah, but there's not a lot of theater activity near where I'm at. I probably would be more involved in if there was. But just to have something to do in between, getting booked for things, 'cause
right.
but it is pretty time consuming. You can take up to 3 to 6 weeks doing the same play over and over and over, and all in a week. That's with me traveling as much as I do. It's kind of tough.
Right. And I know that you mentioned like with auditioning and stuff like that for your over the phone. Do you like it over the phone or would you rather it in person? Because I know some people are like, I like auditioning in person. At least they know who I am
Yeah,
and have a sense of who I am versus it being a camera where they're
yeah,
only getting like a one dimensional copy of who I am.
yeah. I think I do. I have more success in person, but yeah, I like both. I mean, the convenience of being able to do the phone now is so much better than it was 20 or 30 years ago. And, especially for those guys in LA having to fight traffic to get over there and be in a line of like 20 other guys just like you. And then you got to wait, you got to overhear what they're doing. You're like, well, he's did it like that. I don't want to do it like that. Let me do this, so at least when you're doing it from a home setup, you don't have as much stress, about getting it all in. And once you get the handle on how to do it all, it's not that difficult, you know.
My other thing too is I was wondering like what's one memory that you had with with an actor director to where it's like where they gave you some kind of guidance and be like and it actually stuck with you.
Uh, Probably I got to meet Mitch Ryan before he passed. He was in Monty Welsh,
Yeah, I
and
know what you're talking about.
he studied under Strasberg, and he kind of gave me some tips, back then that kind of helped me. And but yeah, I would imagine if anybody I worked with, that because he was pretty approachable. He had done a film festival that I attended, and I talked to him afterwards because he's part of that great generation of actors, Gene Hackman, Robert Duvall, James Dean, all those guys. They studied under Strasberg in New York, back in the 50s. But I don't know. I think no, Pacino's a little bit younger than them. But yeah, those guys all learned, learned from the best during that time period when it was all, you know, acting was changing. Where the Meisner method and all that, everything started to change. Where it wasn't just textbook play type acting, read by the book. It was more be the person, you be the character. And
Right,
so
like method acting in a sense.
yeah, method. Yeah, yeah.
Now my thing is this: would you consider yourself a method actor, or would you consider being like, well, this is who I am, and this is what it calls for. If it calls for method acting, I'll do it, but I'm not gonna put myself out there and do that.
Well, if I had the time dedication to be method, yeah, I'll definitely do it. You know, if I was doing it full time, you know, Daniel Day Lewis, he goes all in. That's one thing that director told me that for that student film that I did, he said, man, Daniel Day Lewis, he's all in the whole time he's filming on his characters. He doesn't break character. You know, Jim Carrey did that for what was the movie he did? Andy Kaufman. You know,
Yeah.
he pretty much was Andy Kaufman the entire time. So yeah, but yeah. If I had the time and dedication, that's all I did. Yeah, I could possibly see myself going that deep with it if I had to really get it. You know, get a good performance. You know, but I just try to put my version, my spin on the character. You know, that's what Tom Hanks. He might play Sully, or he might play Forrest Gump, or he might play Mister Rogers, but he's still Tom Hanks' version of those guys when you see him playing it. You know,
Right. It's
so
his own
that's
spin on who he thinks that character is or that
yeah,
person is.
yeah. Or even him playing Colonel Parker. I mean, that was awesome, man. I was like, good lord, he
The
nailed that
stuff that
one
Tom
too.
Hanks does is amazing.
Yeah, yeah, he did good with Colonel Parker.
But what would you say that maybe was one of your favorite films of 2024 though? If you could put a pin on it.
Films. Trying to think what I went to the theater to see. I haven't seen the Bob Dylan movie yet. I've heard it's good.
Me too. I haven't seen it, but I heard it's good. That's
Yeah,
one that's on my list.
yeah,
Nosferatu is also another one that's on my list.
yeah. What's some stuff that's come out? Remind me so I can.
There's Twisters that came out.
Hmm.
There was let me think here. There was the Ghostbusters movie that came out. There was
Hmm.
also Beetlejuice that came out. Bike
Hmm.
Riders came out.
I didn't see
Uh,
that one. I wanted to see that one. I didn't see that one. Oh,
yeah, I watched it on streaming. That's
yeah,
where I ended up watching it at later on because I'm like, okay, which ones do I really want to spend money on and go out and see and support, and which ones can I just watch on TV? You
yeah,
know,
yeah. I watched Twister on the plane here recently. It was pretty good. I liked it.
I thought it
Um,
was really good, to be honest
yeah,
with you. Like, if I actually had to put my top 5 favorite movies of 2024, I go by how it made me feel, and if I feel entertained by it,
yeah,
then I'm gonna put it on my list.
yeah,
And Twisters was actually something that was fun. I know some people are like, "Well, why does this movie need to be made? We already had the first one." I said, "But you can do a Twisters movie and have different people because there's different storm chasers.
yeah,
So therefore, each story has their own storm chaser story. So therefore, you can do different stories around Twisters without having to go back to the original.
yeah,
So that's something that I found like that was uniquely fun for me to watch,
yeah,
especially the technology that they did within Twisters as well. So I
yeah,
definitely liked. I had fun watching Twisters.
yeah, yeah. The CGI is unreal nowadays, man. It's awesome. Yeah, it was a good. And I actually lived through a tornado, so I know when April was April 27, 2011. Is that the right date? I think. Yeah. We got hit directly, and so it like took out everything around us. My house was still standing, and we were all in the basement. But when I walked out, it looked like something out of a movie or a war zone. I mean, everything. I had like probably 8 or 10 80-year-old trees on my property that were down. So I had all this, there's no shade no more. And like I look
Right.
out in my town and there's an 18-wheeler in the middle of town, like a gas truck, that had been, you know, and I was like, it was awful, man. And I was like, so yeah, I know how quickly what the damage a tornado does. It's crazy, man.
It
And
really is.
it could hit something with force, like hundreds of miles of force, and 2 feet over, there'll be a beach ball sitting there that never even moved. Like we had beach balls in the yard that never even moved from the pool, that never even went anywhere. And I was like,
It's
this is,
crazy.
but it blew my doors open with it. And I had the deadbolt.
It's like make that make sense, right?
Yeah, but since then, I tell everybody, I'm like, if there's a tornado coming, get underground, because if you don't get underground, if you have a basement that's built on the side of a hill, we had some people that didn't make it here, our neighbors, because they were like my grandmother's house is not far from where I live. And if I would have been in her basement, I always used to think, oh, if a tornado comes, I'll just go get her basement, I'll be good. But it's built on the side of an embankment, and man, it blew everything out. Unless I'd have been under a freezer or a bathtub upside down or something, the debris would have killed me, coming in. So I tell
Right.
everybody, you either got to get underground or you got to get in a pod. or one of these metal boxes that are bolted down to the ground. I have seen where F4s and F5s that went over houses, and those things are still there. So,
Right.
tornadoes are serious business, man. I would not be in a place where don't have a place to go when a warning comes up.
Same. I live in the South as well,
Hmm.
too. I went through Katrina and stuff like that. So,
Hmm.
and I also worked at the hospital, same hospital that I've been working since '04.
Yeah.
And I remember the nightmare that was
Yeah.
and stuff. And I remember just basically, it's not even our hospital property, but I remember there's nothing but trees in the background.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it looks like something out of an apocalyptic world because it's like our whole world got turned upside down
Yeah.
because of that one event. And it's like you're not used to this kind of thing happening, and the town is in disarray and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just nuts,
Yeah.
because
Nothing works.
some
Cell phones don't work. It's dangerous just to walk out because the power lines could be down and you could walk on hot power lines. I mean, it's awful. And I feel
it
bad for
really
the
is.
people in California, all them fires, man. That's terrible, man. That's
Me
just
too.
that's just awful. What's going on out there,
I feel bad for the people out in Cali because I actually know some people that lost their houses there
man?
and
Yeah,
stuff, and it just breaks my heart to see something like that happen.
yeah. And I hope
And
everybody's got insurance because man, that decimates everybody.
exactly, because if you don't have insurance, you're pretty much SOL.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, you've lost everything. You've lost your
right.
clothes. I mean, the clothes on your back, everything, man. It's
Matter of fact,
awful.
I might try to like see if there's like any type of way to donate towards the cause in Cali.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. They're gonna need it if they can't get that stopped for sure.
But um but no, is there any other future projects that you're going to be working on that you can talk about, or is there
I,
anything
I
ance?
I put in for some music videos here coming up. I hadn't heard back. I might be in some music videos with undisclosed artists. Don't even know who it is yet if I get it. But
I know you were
yeah,
in
I've been
that
doing a
Post
lot in
Malone
Nashville.
one.
Do I?
I know that you were in the Post Malone music video that you did.
Yeah, the Post Malone. Yeah, I did that back right not long after I did the Landman, and that was pretty cool. I got to meet Blake, and I got to meet Post Malone. They were both awesome, real down to earth. Spent about 6 hours with them out by the lake, and we got to act like we were in high school partying again. And so that was pretty neat. And
Was that set fun for you to work on or anything?
yeah, oh yeah, it was out by the lake. I could be wrong on this, but I don't know if you remember that song by Tracy Lawrence. Find out who your friends are. From like the early 2000s. It looked just like that same location. I don't know if it was, but it looked just like it. And I have a feeling when I was driving out there, I was thinking, this looks just like that Tracy Lawrence music video. And I think that's probably the same place that we were filming at. But
That's
yeah,
pretty
it
cool.
was pretty awesome. Yeah, I've been doing a little bit. I did a commercial up in Nashville earlier this year. I don't know, when it's going to come out. I hope maybe it'll be a Super Bowl commercial. You never know. A lot of this stuff I do it, then I forget about it, and then I see it. I see it on TV. And but no, yeah, of course, I've had my own passion project. I've been working on a Jesse James. I want to do a short film on that. First, I was going to try to make it a feature, but I think I'm going to narrow it down to maybe just a short film and
I think that's the
series.
way to go.
Yeah,
It's starting out is like I always
yeah,
tell people, if you're gonna make a film, do a short film.
yeah,
So that way get a chance to actually work on something that's your own, and then
yeah.
maybe it might actually turn into something big.
Yeah, because somebody might see it and like it. I mean, you might have seen some of it from some of the train work we did. And I had a friend in Atlanta. He's a cinematographer and actor. He was great on the colorization and everything. And that's one thing I want to get right and make it look as good as we can make it look. Based on what we have to work with. And but yeah, I've gotten myself a mirrorless camera. I'm working on getting some more lenses. And I want to before it gets hot again. That's the biggest thing, man. Shooting a western, if you don't do it in the wintertime, dude, you are going to be hot and ticks and snakes.
You're right about that. You have to
And
fight.
you
Not
want to
only do you
walk
have to
around
fight the
like you're
heat,
having a shootout in the woods, man. It's you want to do that stuff in the wintertime for sure. So I've got a window now between here and maybe March, April, that I'm going to try to film a little bit more. I've already shot some stuff year and a half ago, and I'm gonna pick back up on it now that I got me a mirrorless camera and try to do a little bit more with it. See if I can't turn it into a short film and see how people receive it. And if they like it, maybe we'll come out with a series of different
okay.
storylines of it.
I also recommend submitting that over to Holly Shorts Film Festival though too.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because I actually review films for the Holly Shorts Film Festival and stuff.
What you say,
So
Polly Shore?
Holly
Ollie
Shorts,
Shore. Okay, Ollie Shore. Okay.
not Polly Shore.
I didn't know Polly had a film festival.
Yeah, it's called the Weasel.
Yeah.
It's called the Weasel.
It
Yeah,
really tweaks
dude,
my
I'll check
melon.
out your film.
See a buck roll like crawl here, get wheezed on.
Right?
That's a
Yeah,
classic.
the Holly Shorts Film Festival. I definitely, if you're gonna submit something, I definitely recommend them
Okay.
and
All
stuff.
right. Yeah. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I definitely want to get a lot knocked out now that I got a mirrorless camera and you know the deal, you know the setup, getting the right mics, the right lenses, and make everything go accordingly. And that's what I want to make sure everything goes accordingly, And
Exactly.
so I've got I know all the locations. I've got a lot of awesome locations. A lot of my locations I found look like Red Dead locations, man. So I'm looking forward. I found a train bridge almost identical to Red Dead, and then I also got a canyon and a river and all that, and I found some caves and stuff like that. So I can shoot some really cool looking stuff. So it's just a matter of getting everybody together and on the same page and timing and doing it on the weekend. When you got some free time and the weather. That's a big part of it. Like we got
Exactly.
snow coming tomorrow, so it's like if you plan on doing anything, that would be delayed. So.
Right, because camera equipment and snow does not mix
Yeah, no,
at
that's
all.
what's tough is when you're trying to act and you're trying to haul the equipment.
Exactly.
And remember your dialogue. That's why if I'm thinking about maybe hiring a crew to help me. I'm thinking about possibly doing that and get me a film crew, and that way I can focus on the acting, and then I don't have to worry so much about the setups and the things like that. So
Right. But no, man, I'm happy for you. I'm happy with the success that you're having with your career. If
appreciate
once
you
you're
too, man.
done with, you're very welcome. Once you're done with your short film or whatever, send it in to me. I'll be glad to do a review for it for you and
Okay,
stuff.
awesome. I appreciate
Actually,
it. Yeah,
anytime. But yeah, this has been great. I'm glad that I got a chance to actually catch up with you for a little bit, talk with you. I'm just glad our schedules finally meshed together to where we could do this.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, this has been a fun interview, man. I'm happy
yeah. I
that we got to
appreciate you
do it.
having me, man. I've enjoyed it.
Anytime. Just stay back for a few minutes, and I'll
Okay,
once we're done, so that way I can exit you out of the studio properly.
okay,
But yeah, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. I will be back here again tomorrow night to do Squid Game season 2 with Tamika. During the week, I might do a movie news show, and then on Wednesday, I do have the Dexter Original Sin reviews that we've been doing. Rossi's going to be back now that she's done with her winter break. She's coming back with me on Wednesday to review Dexter. So go on ahead, check that out whenever we have that available. The other reviews that we did for Dexter is now available on the podcast for the audio version. So yeah, thank you again, James. I do appreciate you so much. Thank you for taking the time out of your night. And I hope they have I wish you nothing but the best.
you too, John. Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.